Hola, sí, muchas gracias. Y este ex alto oficial de la CIA también es una de las víctimas de estos incidentes conocidos como el Síndrome de La Habana. Él considera que es inexplicable que ahora la comunidad de inteligencia de Estados Unidos diga que detrás de estos incidentes no esté un Estado extranjero.
But when you look at places like Havana, like Moscow, like in China, in Hanoi, Belgrade, there is a common thread here. It's either the Russians or countries friendly to Russia who have carried this out. So look, maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe I'm totally incorrect in this. I don't think so.
Cuba y Rusia estarían detrás de los incidentes aún sin esclarecer, de ataques contra diplomáticos, oficiales de inteligencia y funcionarios de Estados Unidos, conocidos como Síndrome de La Habana. Así dijo creer Mark Polimeropoulos, una de las víctimas de estos incidentes y ex alto oficial de la Agencia Central de Inteligencia, en declaraciones exclusivas para nuestro canal AméricaTeVé.
Does the Cuban government have the technology to do this alone? Well, perhaps not. My sense is that it was with the Russians together, but it makes some sense considering the history of the Russian presence on the island. And so again, it's when you're dealing with people like us within the intelligence community, we're smart people. When I see my officers injured in Havana, injured in Moscow, it doesn't take I don't need to have gone, I don't have to be a NASA rocket scientist to figure out who's behind this. I mean, please.
En la primera parte, una entrevista exclusiva de este ex alto oficial de la CIA, con rango equivalente a general de 3 estrellas, que ofreció al gerente general de AméricaTeVé, Miguel Cosío, y al periodista y productor José Antonio Évora, transmitida por el programa Fondo. Polimeropoulos afirmó sentirse traicionado y dio un golpe a su estómago, el más reciente informe de la comunidad de inteligencia estadounidense, de que no habría un agente extranjero ni un arma sofisticada detrás del llamado Síndrome de La Habana.
To me, it was a bit of a punch in the stomach, because something certainly happened to us, and so there's many reported cases around the world, and I'm not saying that every single one of those cases, might be accurate, but the individuals I know who worked for the CIA, who were involved in high threat operations around the world, primarily against the Russians, many of them suffered such injuries that they had to retire medically. They're debilitating injuries. They were at the top, physical and mental, game of their lives. They were the tip of the spear for the U.S. government. Really, we're an incredible instrument. That's what the CIA is.
Polimeropoulos cuestionó cómo la evaluación de la comunidad de inteligencia de Estados Unidos pasara por arriba el reporte de la Academia Nacional de Ciencias, Ingeniería y Medicinas en diciembre de 2020, que concluyó el uso de un arma de energía directa en estos ataques del Síndrome de La Habana.
I will tell you why I feel betrayed, because what they were not smart in the report. If they had said simply, we don't know yet. We don't know, and we're going to keep the investigation going. But they were so adamant that there's no foreign adversary, and they were adamant that those of us who suffered injuries, they call it, well, maybe we had pre-existing medical conditions, or maybe there was environmental conditions. They seem to explain away what happened. That's just not possible, because my doctors at Walter Reed, a U.S. military hospital, said the opposite. Said, no, actually, Mark did not have pre-existing conditions.
Para este ex alto oficial con una larga y condecorada carrera de 26 años en la CIA, los incidentes del Síndrome de La Habana habrían comenzado como una vía de La Habana y Moscú de recolectar información de inteligencia a través de señales, pero que al percatarse de que usar pulsaciones de energía dirigida podría dañar la salud de oficiales norteamericanos en el terreno, este proceso derivó paulatinamente en un arma. A su juicio, todo empezó en La Habana por alguna razón, cuando en medio del deshielo de Obama con el régimen, la guerra entre los servicios de inteligencia de Estados Unidos y Cuba era más fuerte que nunca.
At the time in Cuba, there was a reopening of ties. There was a decision from the Obama administration to reopen ties. But what people don't understand is the war between U.S. and Cuban intelligence was going as hard as ever. Cuban intelligence didn't make the decision that they wanted to have better ties with the United States. So they were a very strong adversary. And so, again, our officials in Havana were sitting ducks there. And I think they were targets of opportunity for the Cubans or elements of the Cuban, regime who were against any kind of rapprochement with America, certainly to take action.
En su entrevista exclusiva para nuestro canal AméricaTeVé, este ex alto oficial de la CIA, experto en contraterrorismo, habló además de las repercusiones del síndrome de La Habana, que en su opinión tienen todas las características de una medida activa rusa para sacar a los agentes de sus trabajos diarios. Polimeropoulos, que estuvo destacado en los escenarios de mayor conflicto mundial, como el Medio Oriente, Asia, Irak, Afganistán y Siria, era el máximo responsable de las operaciones del servicio de clandestinaje de la CIA para Europa y Eurasia, cuando una noche de diciembre de 2017, en un hotel en Moscú, comenzó a sufrir uno de estos misteriosos ataques que convirtieron su vida en una pesadilla. La segunda parte de su entrevista en exclusiva se presenta esta noche a las 8 en el programa Fondo de AméricaTeVé.
When I was first injured, I could barely even, get up in the morning. I couldn't go to work. I had terrible headaches. I had brain fog. I couldn't drive. And now I'm at the point where, I'm feeling much, much better. I still have a headache. I've had a headache every day for 5 years. But it's not a terrible migraine, and so I'm doing better. And there's I was told by my doctors it would be a marathon to recovery. It's true.
Y por cierto, este ex alto oficial de la CIA se tuvo que retirar de la agencia en el año 2019 precisamente por los daños a su salud que le provocaron estos incidentes en Moscú del llamado Síndrome de La Habana. Rolando Nápoles, América Noticias.